I bet if you run this through ChatGPT, do you think my government's lying to me? Short answer, maybe. The FBI claims they have text messages that Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, of him talking to his roommate, who is also his trans partner. You can't make this stuff up because they did. They released these text messages, and I don't know if you saw them, but they are not real, okay? No human being looks at this text conversation and is like, yeah, 2 people had this. Tyler and his roommate are Gen Z, okay? Gen Z does not talk in complete sentences. That is your first red flag. And I'm just gonna read them to you right now so we can have some laughs. Let me go to CNN for accuracy. Here's the full record of a series of text messages exchanged with the alleged gunman on the day of the shooting, which the roommate provided to the investigators. So the roommate was like, here, you can have these very private tweets. Robinson says, drop what you are doing. Yeah, like those full words. Drop what you are doing, comma. Gen Z does not use commas, okay? Everybody knows this. They have not discovered punctuation yet, all right? They can shorten words. They can't make short words longer, you know? Robinson says, drop what you're doing, comma, look under my keyboard, period. Gen Z does not use periods, okay? They say period when they finish a sentence. And then there's some exposition here. It says, when the roommate looked under the keyboard, there was a note that allegedly read, I like how they say allegedly, like you're the one telling us this. Like, allegedly read, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. Period. Again. Well, all these periods, man. What's that? Charlie Kirk is capitalized. And I is capitalized. Roommate, what? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. This is where the FBI was like, yeah, this is how they talk. What? You're joking, right? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You know they had a conversation like, is 4 too many? You think they'll know? They literally put 8 question marks after what? Robinson replies, I am still okay, my love. Bro just time warped to the 1800s. I'm still okay, my love. But I am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Okay. They wrote this really fast. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, comma, but I gotta grab my rifle still. Period. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. Come on, dude. This is not a novel. And Gen Z, talk to any Gen Zer. They don't think they're gonna die of old age. They think they're gonna die tomorrow, okay? And to be honest, after incidences like this, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? He says, I'm sorry to involve you. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. You can tell like the subtle transphobia here, you know? They're like, yeah, trans people love to use multiple question marks. Subtle prejudice, for sure. Robinson replies, I am. I'm sorry. No period this time. Okay. Roommate, I thought they caught the person? Question mark. Just one question mark this time. Robinson, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude. Which is true, they did. That happened, but you can tell here the FBI is trying to cover their trails and explain why they focused on that clearly not shooter guy for so long. And then in this, it's because, oh, well, he was crazy and he was old. So messed up. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. Again, explaining why they stopped someone else. The FBI's like, well, we had to. There was the crazy guy and the guy in similar clothing. Gotta cover our bases. Tell him, Tyler. I had planned. Come on, dude. You just put I planned. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point. Okay, at this point you're like, okay, this is AI. They put this into ChatGPT. And they said, ChatGPT, if you were a Gen Z kid who just shot someone, how would you explain to your roommate/trans lover that you need to get your rifle that you left at your drop point? I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. They're really paying. I'm getting into this at this point. I'm like, I'm on the edge of my seat. Roommate, why? One question mark. Robinson, why did I do it? Question mark. Oh, come on. Come on. You're going to release this much over a text message with someone who's clearly going to turn you in a few hours? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. Now, this is where the deep state is clearly reigning their evil, because they want us to push this narrative that this was a guy who couldn't solve things diplomatically, kind of like the US government, and had to resort to violence, right? Which is the talking point that's going on right now. And they literally put it into his mouth. Some hate can't be negotiated out. Is this the Wild Wild West? Well, it is Utah. To be honest, people might talk like this in Utah. Just for record, I could be wrong. Robinson, if I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Come on. I will have left no evidence? Bro, why don't you just share your location at this point? Giving away everything. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully, they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Yeah, turn on the news, buddy. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Question mark. You feel like at this point you'd be like, I'm glad you asked this question. But he says, a bit over a week, I believe. I believe? I like how they keep it vague. He's like, I believe. So if we have to change the statement later, like, he said he believed it, but it was longer. He said, I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. That's like the most Gen Z thing yet. I don't want to chance it. And is there anything I didn't talk about tonight you'd like for me to talk about?
Weed. Prime numbers.
Weed and prime numbers. Let's go, dude. Two of my favorite things, man. So first of all, we're in Oklahoma. You guys have good weed here? I'm like, nobody would ever guess that. Honestly, you go to Texas, it's illegal, right? You go to Kansas, it's illegal. It's Kansas, right? Okay, whatever. Go to Kansas, it's illegal, but then you come to Oklahoma, you just get cooked, dude. It's listen, I know a lot of people, hot on, whatever. No, I've been smoking weed for as long as I can remember, which is not that long because it affects the memory, but I get a lot of people don't like it. But I never hear great reasons on why people don't smoke weed. It's like people can't take accountability for stuff. Like, how come every time I smoke weed, it makes me depressed? Like, that's not the weed, that's you. You know what I mean? Like, you were already depressed and the weed made you aware that you're depressed and you don't like being aware of things. Or how come every time I smoke weed, it makes me lazy? Because you smoked an Indica and went to the gym, you moron. Indica couch, okay? Sativa is the one you smoke at your job, all right? They have a saying for that. Smoke sativa, you will achieve it. And they know hybrids are chill, Or, every time I smoke weed, it makes me stupid. Like, that's not the weed. Respectfully, it's not the weed, And you're not using it the right way. Like, try getting high and reading a book. Okay? Yeah, I know you're like, why would I waste a high on a book? Like, no, that'll be the hardest book you ever read, okay? if you can read a book high, you can climb Everest. I'm telling you, you can do a lot of things. You know, put your mind to it. But yeah, actually, I have an interesting backstory because I studied applied math in college. That's why I do stand-up. And I got a 4.20 GPA, actually, believe it or not. And 420, yeah, man, yeah. And believe it or not, I was like ahead of my class in college, and I was one of the only kids who smoked weed. I would like to argue that it helped me with geometry because there's a lot of spatial. And listen. I'll tell you a story. This was not even intentional, okay? In college, I had this professor, this Ukrainian professor. He was just so intense. Like, he would get pissed at us for like not learning. He's like, "You dumb Americans!" He would always say that. "You dumb Americans! You do not know. Back where I'm from, we do math, and you die in the street." Like, whoa, that was just like, it was like very real. And one day he came in and he wrote this crazy problem on the board. I was like, oh yeah, this is my chance to be Good Will Hunting, right? And he's like, if you solve this, you don't have to take the final. I had quit smoking weed. I had smoked weed previously and I had quit. I was like, I'm done smoking weed. I'm going the sober route. I'm, do it the normal way, whatever. And I was like, I'm done with weed, no weed. And that happened. I quit like 2 weeks prior to this. And then I look at that problem and I'm like, oh, this is like very stressful, whatever. And I go to the library and I'm like trying to dig into this problem. It's like this crazy thing with like triangles and squares and like Pythagoras, like, what's up? Just like a crazy problem. And then I'm like, I give up. I just gave up. I went home defeated and I was like so tired and hungry from the day. And I saw that my roommate had made brownies. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll have a brownie. And there was enough so I could take some and he wouldn't notice. So I took 5. And after about 10 minutes, I was like, oh, because my roommate came home and he had bloodshot eyes. He's like, do you have brownies? I was like, oh, Because for him, I was like, why am I having so much fun? You know what I mean? I don't remember the rest of the night. Like, I have visions of like triangles and squares and like Pythagoras, like, what's up? But I kid you not, I somehow woke up the next morning with a finished paper. Because that math to me was just like so natural. So I don't know what I did, but I turned it in the next morning. I brought it to the professor, and he was like looking at it, and he'd always go over people's answers in front of everybody, so it was like public shame. So he was like, okay, Chelsea, wrong. Thomas, wrong. And then he was like, Sammy. Holy shit. He got it right. And then all the kids were like, how did you do that? And I was like, I don't recommend weed for everybody. It's just not for everybody, but somehow it worked for me. But I love prime numbers.
Your THC level needs to be a prime number.
It needs my THC. I only do THC in primes, yeah. Whenever I pick up a weed in like the CBD level.